There's something rare about a television franchise that doesn't just tell stories, it builds a legacy. The FBI franchise has always stood for more than just weekly case files. It gave us teams who didn't just chase suspects, they carried the weight of justice on their shoulders. It brought us into the hearts of federal operations, across borders, and through layers of bureaucracy to show what it truly means to serve, protect, and sacrifice. These weren't just procedures, they were a window into lives spent in pursuit of something greater than themselves. FBI, FBI Most Wanted, and FBI International each gave us a different vantage point, but together they built something whole. A world that felt structured and real, yet emotionally raw. A world where agents weren't just symbol of authority, but people, flawed, vulnerable, and deeply human. And now with two of those chapters closing, we don't just say goodbye, we take a moment to remember what made them special, the characters who fought to be more than their pasts, the cases that pushed them to their limits, and the quiet moments in between where the burden of the badge was felt most clearly. Because even as the screen fades on some stories, others are just beginning, and the foundation they laid still stands strong. So if you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button and check out my other videos after this one, and follow my new Substack in the link below for more personal reviews on the TV shows that I watch. And now without further ado, let's explore the FBI franchise. Chapter 1: The Intensity of the Badge. Compared to other police procedurals these days, all three of the FBI franchise keeps the viewers on their toes. There's always an adrenaline rush pulsing through each case. While there have been other shows that features the FBI, most of them uses the agency as a starting point, a tool to their own narrative. Take Bones for instance. The FBI in the show functions more as a law enforcement backdrop for forensic anthropologists solving crimes. Or Criminal Minds, where the FBI is essentially a home base. The real focus there is on the profilers, whose FBI titles are secondary to their profiling expertise. The FBI franchise flips that on its head. It doesn't just use the institution as a tool, it wields it like a hammer. These series explores what it actually means to carry the badge, the responsibility, the duty, and the weight of what that symbol represents. It's not just about storytelling, it's by immersing the viewers in the life of a federal agent. Historically, shows might dip into the FBI for credibility, but rarely commit to portraying the full scope of what the agency entails. They treat it as a window dressing for the unique gimmick. In contrast, the FBI franchise makes the institution itself the centerpiece. Each show within the franchise, whether it's the agents working at the JOC, Joint Operations Center, a multi-agency coordination hub where intelligence is rapidly shared and operations are synchronized, the Fugitive Task Force tracking down the most dangerous criminals, or the international teams operating overseas, provides a focused lens on the real FBI functions. Now yes, shows like FBI International dramatizes and fictionalizes certain aspects. The flight team as depicted doesn't exist in a form in real life, but that's not the point. Unlike other procedurals that merely borrows the FBI badge to push their own storytelling gimmick, this franchise actually centers the institution. Even if it takes creative liberties, the focus remains on showing how the FBI functions, structurally, logistically, and symbolically. These aren't gimmicks, they're structured, intentional representation of how the FBI is portrayed in the public imagination. And because of that, the stake always feels high. There's no narrative trickery or convenient shortcuts. The agents don't borrow the badge, they are the badge. That's what gives the franchise its intensity. These are real-feeling agents working real-feeling cases, and the storytelling respects that. Chapter 2: Case versus Character. There's a saying in the film industry, the most important person in the cast is the first person on the call sheet. And yes, that's often true. But in all three FBI series, the real first person on the call sheet is the FBI itself. The institution is the grounding point from which each series launches, anchoring everything: tone, structure, and purpose. Yet what drives the FBI isn't just the symbol of the badge, it's the people behind it. While the franchise is undeniably case-focused, it also invests time in developing its characters into compelling, aspirational agents. Each episode tends to peel back a personal layer from at least one of the characters, if not more, drawing us into their lives beyond the field. Unlike other shows that uses the FBI as a narrative tool and centering everything around a single standout character, the FBI franchise takes a more balanced approach. Yes, some agents naturally gets more screen time due to their position of prominence, but the series ensures that all the main characters receive personal storylines. Their growth, struggle, and relationships are given space to unfold. At first glance, all three series may seem like standard case of the week procedurals, but over time they shift into something deeper. Shows where the characters are just as vital as the investigations. Themes like grief, trauma, addiction, and family aren't just tacked on for emotional depth. They're seamlessly woven into the fabric of each episode. And that's what sets this franchise apart. It doesn't just solve crimes, it tells human stories. Even if you're not FBI agents ourselves, we can relate to these characters. We understand their pain, their drive, and their moments of vulnerability. That's why the FBI franchise resonates in a way many others can't. Chapter 3: Crossing Borders, Crossing Stories. From an outside perspective, the FBI franchise might seem as disconnected as any other police procedural franchise series like NCIS or 911, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. The FBI franchise is connected in a way that makes it feel real. Cameos and crossovers between characters happen on a regular basis, and that's a big part of why it feels like we're not just watching an isolated team in action, but witnessing the Bureau itself as one unified institution. Sure, a series like FBI International showcases the literal meaning of cross-border stories, but it goes deeper than that. When characters from different series appears across the show, it reinforces the idea that this isn't a collection of separate narratives. It's one shared world, one institution. Agents who've crossed paths with suspects or handled a related cold case might ring directly, offering insights that goes beyond what's in the case files. It gives the viewers a sense that the FBI isn't just a handful of teams or isolated cases. It's a complex interconnected system, a web of agents, departments, and operations that all serve the same mission. What ties the franchise together goes beyond a single character popping in to assist or issue orders. It's rooted in narrative logic. Crossovers between the Jock, the Flight Team, and the Fugitive Task Force aren't just fan service, they reflect the operational realities of a coordinated institution. We'll see the Flight Team step in to assist the domestic FBI office when a fugitive crosses international borders under an extradition treaty, or a suspect pursued by one unit may surface in another team's case file, prompting overlapping investigation and collaboration. Or even in many of the crossovers, a suspect from one series will turn into a fugitive, bringing in the Fugitive Task Force to intervene and assist the team in capturing and stopping the kind of threats that a crossover brings. This is what makes the FBI franchise feel cohesive. One action doesn't just affect one show, it ripples across all three. These aren't separate stories, there are different lenses on the same institution. Each reinforces the reality that the FBI operates as a unified force, not as a series of silos. Chapter 4: Justice, Not Just Law. Each episode of the FBI franchise, no matter which series, is never just about federal laws being broken. It's about the justice the victim deserves and how hard the agents work to carry the burden of those crimes, even when they're not personally involved. What gives these stories their power is not the focus of the crime themselves, but the people. It's the agents, the victim, and the emotional fallout that makes the series feel more honest and grounded. In many other procedurals, victims fade into the background after the cold open. They exist to serve the case, then vanish. But in the FBI franchise, the victim often shapes the direction of the investigation. The agents don't just solve crimes, they carry the emotional weight that comes with them. That burden is part of what defines the character. It adds complexity, vulnerability, and a moral edge to their pursuit of justice. Yes, the federal scope of the case does elevate them. Unlike other procedurals grounded in city-based crime, say a country singer murdered in Nashville, or a celebrity mayhem in Hollywood, FBI deals with larger-scale threats. These are crimes involving terrorism, kidnapping, chemical attacks, and even much more. From stopping ISIS cells planning poison attacks to tracking down a family annihilator, or even assisting in the investigation of a bombing on a foreign soil involving American citizens, these are the kind of cases FBI agents takes on. That doesn't mean smaller crimes aren't important, but it highlights the unique level of responsibility that comes with operating on a federal level. And yet, despite the scale, the victims are never lost in the chaos. A wife mourning her husband, a daughter, a son, terrified after their parents' kidnapping. The narrative always brings it back to them. That's what makes the series feel real. It never lets us forget who justice is actually for. Chapter 5: Humanizing the Federal Machine. Life inside the federal machine is complex, a relationship filled with both purpose and personal cost. On one hand, there's deep fulfillment in knowing you're making a difference in a world that often feels dark and chaotic. On the other, the things these agents witnesses can leave permanent marks. Just like anyone working in law enforcement, regardless of badge or uniform, there's always the risk of reaching a breaking point. The FBI franchise never lets us forget that for all the power and prestige the Bureau carries, it is not invincible. The agents working these cases are human, and the series continuously reminds us of that. They're people like you and me answering a call to serve, even when it means sacrificing their own emotional well-being, relationships, or sense of self. What makes these stories resonate isn't just the cases, it's the emotional fractures. The tension between loyalty to the badge and loyalty to family, the struggle to remain objective when a case hits too close to home. These moments of bias of internal conflict are what makes the show feel real, not because they undermine professionalism, but because they reveal the emotional cost of service. It gives the moments when things get really personal all the more impact. The cost of always dual loyalty to both the FBI and its Muslim heritage, Scott Forrester's constant battle with questioning about his loyalty because of his mother's past, and Jubal's ongoing struggle with sobriety and the toll it takes on his family. These are the moments that deepen our connection to the characters. As we get to know them, we don't just see agents, we see human beings, people trying to live up to a calling while dealing with the same emotional weight we all carry. And while many characters in the franchise share that burden, it's these standout arcs that truly hits hard, because they remind us that beyond the protocols and the badge, these people are real, vulnerable, and relatable. The FBI franchise excels when it drops the facade of institution perfection and shows us what it really means to carry the weight of federal responsibility. It's about what these agents lose, hold on to, or question along the way. Chapter 6. The end of a chapter, not the story. The inevitability of a network television series being cancelled is something every viewer learns to accept, and with that comes the uncertainty. Will the story reach its full conclusion? Will the characters we've grown attached to get the closure they deserve? That's the cost of investment and the risk we take when we choose to care about a show. The FBI franchise has expanded so much since it was first announced that CBS was creating a series simply titled FBI. Even from that initial announcement, I was hooked. Something about that direct title grabbed me. I was ready to give it a chance. Then came the usual 13 episodes for a first season, the full season pickup, and eventually a backdoor pilot. Quite tease of a bigger franchise just beneath the surface. Those moments made being a fan feel genuinely rewarding. What came after was something special, an interconnected universe built around the idea of a single institution, the FBI, with multiple teams and stories under its umbrella. FBI Most Wanted and FBI International weren't just spin-offs. They told meaningful stories, brought in new divisions of the Bureau, and introduced characters that made us feel something. They even stretched the franchise onto the international stage. Whether it was a quick cameo or a major three-way crossover, every moment felt like it was part of something that respected both the narrative and the fans watching it. And now with the cancellation of both spin-offs, we find ourselves at the end of two important chapters. But it doesn't feel like the end of the story, more like a pause, a moment to reflect. Yes, it's sad to see them go, but it's also time to celebrate what they gave us. These series were chapters in the larger story of the FBI, stories that still matter, even if the screen goes dark for now. And yet, even in endings, there's a hint of what's next. With CBS now introducing another institution, the CIA, a new chapter is just beginning. A fresh slate of stories, new agents, and the possibilities of crossovers we haven't even imagined yet. And who's to say the characters we've grown to love won't return? Maybe not today, but someday. Because stories like these and the characters within them don't just disappear. They live on in the world they help build. This is why we take a chance. This is why we care. Because even when a series ends, the connection doesn't. And that's what makes it all worth it. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon in the next review episode.